guys for allowing me to use your place. And today we have a very special speaker. Her name is Avery Carl. She is in several markets across the U.S. And the reason why it's so special right now at this moment is because she has a great pulse on what's going on in the short-term rental market. She's mainly branched out of the Smoky Mountains, right? Yes. Get it.
And reinvest that into more real estate, whether it's more short-term rentals or long-term rentals. We kind of stepped away from short-term rental investing for about a year and a half. We've got 32 doors total, so we added 20 something long-term doors. And then this year, it was our goal to get an apartment building, but with coronavirus and all the eviction moratoriums that were going on, we decided maybe we'll wait until next year for that, because we don't want to get into something where we're going to have, potentially 15 doors and nobody has to pay rent until next year. So we pivoted, and we've got now a beach house in Destin, Florida, and we 1031 exchanged some of our smaller short-term rentals in the Smokies to bigger short-term rentals in the Smokies. And so we're just kind of waiting on that apartment building until the eviction stuff dies down, and actually waiting to see if maybe we can pick up any foreclosures or distressed properties if coronavirus ends up actually making any distressed properties pop up. Who knows? Because everybody's got a lot of equity right now, so they would just probably sell at retail rather than be distressed. But regardless. So another thing that I do, my main job now, is when I first started investing in short-term rentals in these regional drivable vacation rental markets, I found that there were no real estate agents that could really answer my questions about return on investment or occupancy rate or how to manage these things. So I became that agent. Now I am the top agent in the Smokies. I've got a team that's performing really well in the Florida Panhandle and also in Gulf Shores, Alabama. We will be expanding into North Georgia and the North Carolina beaches and the North Carolina side of the Smokies in the next 6 months. And what we do is we help investors who are interested in buying short-term rentals in these markets. Not only do we help you acquire them, but especially for first-time Airbnb investors, we have a whole back-end program that if you choose to use us as your agents, we will teach you how to set up your Airbnb and VRBO listings, how to set up your channel managers and automation tools so that you can manage from wherever you are in the country. And we also get you in touch with local vendors, cleaners, handymen, everybody that you need to be able to manage your short-term rental in any of our markets from wherever you are. So we specialize in solely helping investors acquire more short-term rental properties. As far as coronavirus, so I know we're talking about thriving in 2020. I know my markets are kind of different from yours in that you guys actually have industry and jobs other than tourism in Miami, whereas in the markets that I'm in, there's really no industry other than tourism. So coronavirus was particularly scary for us when it first started getting serious because we thought, oh my God, nobody's going to go on vacation anymore. And, metro markets, I metro market just because the regulations make me very nervous. And I don't have to worry about regulations in true vacation markets like that. But I started to really question my decisions about not having invested in metro markets because you guys have the flexibility to either switch it to a long-term or rent to traveling nurses or things like that. Whereas I, just have to have the cash reserves. So what I wanted to share with you guys today, and I'm not going to talk at you for the whole 30 minutes. I like to get feedback and kind of have a conversation with everybody about what everybody's doing. But what I wanted to share with you is my kind of banking hack for building up cash reserves without having to, pay a lot of attention to, getting on your online banking and moving money around. So when coronavirus hit, a lot of my clients and investors that I knew within the first 2 or 3 weeks of the shutdown were already, these are people that I had looked up to as investors previously, and people that were living solely, their sole stream of income is short-term rentals. These people were already doing the forbearance and filing for the small business help and all that within 2 or 3 weeks. And I thought, oh my gosh, I've looked up to these people. They don't have any kind of a safety net. It's only been 2 weeks and they're already having to look into all this mortgage forbearance and things like that. So I personally did not, because I'm a big believer in cash reserves. And I wanted to tell you guys a little bit about how I set up my banking to not have to mess around with it too much to build up my cash reserves. So I personally recommend to my clients to have a minimum of 3 months of expenses worth of cash reserves. Ideally, you'd have 6 months, but I understand when we're all trying to pick up more deals that you don't want to have that much money sitting there not doing anything for you. So I give a little leeway with 3 months. But what I do, so I found this online bank called Relay Financial. And for each of my streams of income, I set up several different bank accounts depending on what it is. So for my short-term rentals, I have the account that your Airbnb and VRBO deposits hit. And then I found this really cool app called Astra. And what Astra does is you can set it up to whenever a deposit hits your account, you can set it up to pull a certain percentage into a bunch of different accounts. So historically, I used to be with Bank of America. They couldn't really do that. They could only do it if every paycheck was the same amount. And they could say, okay, well, $50 every time will go to this other account. But Astra, I can set it up with percentages. So what I do is I have it set up to automatically set aside a certain percentage into another account for taxes, set aside a certain percentage into another account for CapEx and cash reserves. So I set aside, when I first start a new Airbnb, I start out by setting aside 20% of every deposit that hits my account into my cash reserves account so that I can't see it. I can't touch it. It's there for a rainy day like coronavirus. And that has been so helpful to just go ahead and have everything separated out automatically with and automated that way, because historically I'd have to go into my Bank of America and say, okay, well, I need to move this much money here and this much money here. But as you know, when you're working with short-term rentals, automation is key for scaling your management. So automating your bank and your different accounts for your cash reserves is super helpful also. So I just wanted to share that hack with you guys about cash reserves, so that you too can maybe set that up and get your cash reserves in a place where you can be comfortable now that things are kind of cooling down with coronavirus. Or I mean, maybe not in South Florida. I'm in Northwest Florida right now. We don't have a lot of cases here, but as you guys are bouncing back, it's really important that you get those cash reserves in place for obvious reasons. So I'll go ahead and open it up for questions. It doesn't have to be about banking hacks or anything like that, but any questions that you have about the markets that I'm in or anything like that. I'd also love to hear about you guys' experience so far this year down in Miami. So just, who wants to go first?
Avery, I'm super interested in knowing how the experience throughout coronavirus, or even now, was over there in the Smoky Mountains or any other markets that you were in, and how do you see it moving forward? Well, how do you see things behaving?
So for us, the three markets that we're in all behave very similar, because like I mentioned, they're all true drivable vacation markets. When the shutdowns first started, our calendars were wiped clean for the end of March, pretty much all of April. And so we were like, all right, well, here it comes. And luckily, though, we did have just enough bookings come in from people who live in drivable big cities like Atlanta or Charlotte, who live in small condos, who thought, oh, well, I'm going to have to be working from home for a month and I live in this small condo. I'll come rent your cabin in the Smokies or your beach house for a week or two and work remotely from there. So we had just enough of those kinds of bookings, with the exception of the Florida house, because obviously, the governor shut down the short-term rentals, that we broke even and didn't have to dip into the cash reserves. Had it lasted longer, I'm sure we would have. And luckily we had those in place. But May 1st, as things started to open back up, and to backtrack a little bit. So in the Smokies, the main attraction is the Smoky Mountain National Park, and that was shut down. So it's the equivalent of the beaches being shut down. So it was very scary for that month and a half. But then once everything started opening back up, once the governor opened the beaches up in Northwest Florida too, the tourists in all three markets, they came back, I would say, with a vengeance. We're getting higher prices per night than we've ever seen, even on Christmas and New Year's. Our beach season extended much further into the fall than it normally does. It normally tapers off around October, and we stayed booked pretty solid until December 1st. And I think that's because people are going to school remotely, working remotely. So, they rent the beach house and go to work, go to school online, and then go to the beach afterwards. So I think that our markets have bounced back because of the drivability and the affordability. It's not a super expensive vacation. So, maybe this year people are not flying to Aspen because they don't want to get on a plane and get breathed on and, be in a confined space with a lot of people they don't know. But they've got no problem taking an 8-hour drive trip to the Smokies for the weekend and not spending, all the money on airlines and lift tickets and things like that. And same thing with the Alabama Gulf Coast and with the Panhandle of Florida, is that, maybe people aren't flying to Mexico for their beach vacation this year, but they will certainly take a 5 to 8 hour drive trip down to the Gulf Coast. So we've been really lucky with the way coronavirus has affected us. It is not at all what I expected when all of this started, but it's been a really eye-opening experience, as I'm sure it has for you guys too, just to see what a worst case scenario looks like. And now when people ask me, when you know, maybe new Airbnb investors ask what happens in a worst case scenario, I can tell them exactly what happens. So I don't know if you guys have had the same experience in Miami. I don't have a lot of experience or really know any investors in Miami, so I'm super interested to hear how it's been for you guys as well.
It's we've had the same, I think, driving type of guests
New York.
from New York. A lot of people, that's true, and I think even more so now it's gonna happen even more because you know, the Florida governor said we're not closing by any means. However, New York is, so I think that's a bright side to our winter season. As far as throughout the whole pandemic, we had steady, but not like before. So like you, we were able to cover expenses, break even, profits, obviously not like before, but they were there, and that's the important part. You know, we didn't really have to come out of pocket. Um, how's been your guys' experience?
Same here. We've been kind of, I've never had to shut or bring in like full-time tenants or anything like that. I've been lucky that my places have been more like people from upstate or from up north wanted to stay, like to get away from the cities that were supposed to be more, you know, impacted by the coronavirus. But yeah, no, I was lucky. I think it was God sent because I was really lucky.
Absolutely, the same.
Yeah.
So yeah, we've hung on. Let's say that, you know, we're hanging on there, and it's improved, it's gotten better, and obviously bookings now are just like very short notice. You know, they're not in advance at all. I don't know if that's your experience as well, and of course the cancellation policies are very important right now. The more flexibility, the better, usually for the guests. And do you have that experience as well, Avery? Are your bookings last minute?
Our bookings in the Smokies are generally kind of last minute compared to beach markets in general. I would say even, you know, during the best of times, it's a 5-week or less lead time. But our Florida place, it has gotten a few super last minute November bookings. So I would say, yeah, in Florida, we've had a similar experience.
I hear you. Anybody from the virtual Zoom want to share their experience?
I actually have more of a question, Sebastian, if that's okay, for Avery.
Sure.
This is Jean Heisch, by the way.
Hey, Jean.
My question is, given you know, the sheltering in place, only stay with those, you know, your immediate family, and don't hold big parties. Have you found that when people book your place in the Smokies or in Florida, are they booking like your entire like 5-bedroom apartment, or not apartment, you know, house, or are they looking for the smaller places? Because I know that you also manage other people's places.
So they're booking the whole big ones, and I don't know if that's because all of the areas I invest in are super red areas, and people just kind of don't care about the shutdowns, and there's a lot of anti-maskers going on, and so I don't know if it's just that the people who visit the places that I invest in just don't care, but they're booking, and you know, it's none of my business if they're breaking the rules or not. I'll take their money.
Mm-hmm. Okay. What about the rest of the group? Are you finding like the bigger the houses or the smaller houses are doing better here in Miami and Fort Lauderdale?
Mine is Dallas. I have a small place, Jean, and I also have this one, and they're both equally just as, you know, inquirable than, you know, than the next. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, in our experience, tourist guests, of course, have leaned towards big single-family homes just because they have so much area to share, to do private fun activities, the pool, the one of them has a tennis court, so that's a huge benefit. So that the bigger the property, the better the performance we've seen, especially in Miami, since people wanted to get out of condos. We have a message here from Shailesh. Sorry if I butchered your name. She's asking. I think this is a good question for you, Avery. What are the different strategies to get a loan when your loan to income ratio is maxed out?
So at that point, a commercial loan is going to be the way to go. It can be a little bit difficult to get local banks and credit unions to do commercial loans on short-term rentals. It can definitely be done, but you're just going to have to call a lot of them. There are two big national commercial loan companies that maybe you guys are familiar with, maybe not. One of them is called Vizio. Here, I'll type that so you can look it up. And the other one is Host Financial. Host Financial, you'll probably have a better shot because obviously by the name, it's geared towards short-term rentals, but both of those will, they, rather than getting into your own DTI and your own income and all that, they base everything based off of what the property will make. So I would give those two a try and see what you come up with.
Awesome. I see Jennifer pretty active with the questions. I appreciate it. As far as licenses needed to manage short-term rentals in Miami, we manage a few in Miami. They narrowed it down, of course. We've let some go, the not the greatest performers, and we haven't had to use a license. We sometimes co-host the listings from direct owners themselves. I saw you had some other questions. Let's see. Do you manage your own properties or sublease is acceptable in Miami? It really depends on your business objective, what your goals are. I usually don't recommend Airbnb arbitrage or subleasing just because there's so much downside, there's so much risk to it, and it's something like, you know, what we're going through right now, which is obviously a shock to everyone. No one thought this was going to happen. You're still left with that rent, and you may be in debt, and then all your profits are going to go there. Or, you know, occupancy may go down so far to the point that you're only going to be profiting a couple $100. Yes, in high season, it's definitely worthwhile, but I see the risk, the downside, too far down. You know, it's too much. You may lose your furniture, your entire 3 months investment in order to and then compared to the upside, the upside is only on the high season, and then you have a lot of risk involved. Let's see if she has more questions. You guys have a question?
Yeah, we have a question.
Please go ahead.
What kind of support would you give to investors who want to get in your areas?
Like the Smoky Mountains.
Yeah, like you know, North Carolina, like in the Asheville area or the Smoky Mountains right here.
Like what kind of services do you provide?
Oh, sorry, it was kind of breaking up.
No, we want to know what kind of services you provide.
Okay. So if you guys want to invest in any of the markets that I'm in, Smoky Mountains, Panhandle, Florida, Gulf Shores, Alabama, what we do is we will get you, I mean, you guys obviously already know how to manage an Airbnb if you own them, but we will get you cleaners, handymen, you know, anybody that you need to be able to manage a short-term rental in the Smoky Mountains from Miami. We will get you hooked up so that by the time you close with us, you're ready to just turn the key and make money. And Asheville, so Asheville's on the North Carolina side. We're on the Tennessee side. We will be on the North Carolina side by probably Q2 of next year. Asheville has a lot of very strict regulations, and they don't have quite the return on investment on the North Carolina side as we do on the Tennessee side. The property taxes in Tennessee are minimal. Like on an average 2-bedroom, they're going to be less than $1,000 a year. So the property taxes on the Tennessee side that's a really, really big benefit to investing on the Tennessee side. I've got tons of off-market properties too on the Tennessee side. So it's super competitive to make offers on MLS properties on the Tennessee side right now. It's like crazy. We had one last week that was $450,000. It had 55 offers on it. So yeah, it was nuts. So super competitive, and it's all investors. All of that is investor driven because the numbers make so much sense. The Panhandle of Florida and Gulf Shores in Alabama are, I would say, they're kind of like what the Smokies were 4 or 5 years ago, where the numbers make a lot of sense, but they're not as discovered and overrun by investors yet. So you can still actually negotiate a purchase price in those markets, and you just have a little bit more breathing room to make offers and do some analysis instead of just having to rush off and offer over asking on everything just because it hit the market.
Is that where you're getting most of your properties from, the MLS?
It just depends. So I've got a developer who I work with who I list most of his properties off market. Like we did about 30 off market this past month in the Smokies. But I mean, I did also just buy one right off the MLS myself last month also. So things do pop up often just because this is not a market where just because it hits the MLS means it's a bad deal. It's just that there's a lot of very old school agents in the Smokies that, they've been doing it for 30, 40 years and they're just not keeping up with technology, and it just doesn't occur to them to do things off market to add value that way. So then there's also the new clear cooperation laws that if there's any real estate agents in this room, then you understand those, where the National Association of Realtors just passed a law that said once we as agents send out an off-market property anywhere outside of our own office, so whether that's an email blast or a social media post, it has to be on the MLS within 2 business days or 48 hours or 1 business day, whichever is shorter. So that's kind of, cut a leg off as far as doing a lot of off-market business, but we still do quite a bit. So the Smokies are competitive, but they're still a really great place to invest.
I have come across some people that they sell lots of land to build like bungalows or something,
Mm-hmm.
Cabins, wood cabins cheaply. So what do you think about it? Would that be, I mean, I know it would depend on the locations, but is that something Airbnb guests are, I don't know, is it desirable for them?
Yeah, so it just depends on what it is you're trying to do. So with building cabins, the thing that trips people up in this market is that since everything is kind of on the side of a mountain, you can get $200,000 or $300,000 into building and have only spent money on grading and retaining walls and not even have gotten into the actual structure of the cabin yet. So building can be a little more expensive if you're not experienced in that area, if you're not working with a developer who does it often. As far as like tiny homes, you have to have basically trailer park zoning in order for that to be allowed if they have wheels on them. And if they don't have wheels on them, you just have to check with the county because there are minimum square footage requirements and for what you can have. And you do also, even if they don't have wheels on them, you have to have some kind of special commercial campground zoning to be allowed to do it. So there's a lot of red tape. It's a cool idea. I haven't seen too many people execute it other than just having like one tiny home on their property.
Okay. Great. Yeah. Do you guys have any more questions? You guys over here? Hey, good evening, Angela. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you.
Process.
It's a little process, huh?
Okay, cool. Do you have questions? How's your experience been through the pandemic and now, and what do you see moving forward?
So my experience, my on there. So my Airbnb down in Miami. Thank you. My experience down in Miami, I have a 4-bedroom, 3-bathroom property, and I do individual room rentals. So I saw the drop off right around March, like everybody else did, March, April, when everything kind of went to crap with the whole pandemic. And My strategy when I got down to Miami last year was already to hit the affordable part of Airbnb, which was doing the room rentals. So I'm only charging $50, $65 a night, and I actually didn't see any drop off with reservations. I was able to stay pretty much consistent because one thing that the coronavirus did do was make it so everybody needed an affordable stay now. You know, that since everybody was losing their jobs and unemployment, you know, spending as least amount of possible was a priority for people. So my experience was a little bit more hectic because I had to keep flipping sheets every day because I had a lot of 2-3 day reservations, and it was, you know, it was pretty much like that throughout from about March all the way up until June, July. And it's still going now. I think right now I still have people in my property right now that's fully booked out. Some of them are, well, no, none of them are here, but yeah. So now just looking forward to the spike that comes back, you know, whenever all of these things are over and things start to get back into the normal rhythm. I'm looking forward to just being a part of that wave of people that come back to South Florida.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. Okay. If no one else has any questions, let's see. Can you check on the group chat? Thank you.
I saw the video.
Okay. Come on, let's see if any more questions. Do we have any more questions from the audience? Okay. What could be done to get a higher nightly rate as compared to the competition? What would you take beyond that, Avery?
So we use Beyond Pricing as a pricing manager. So I recommend using them or any of the pricing managers, just depending on which one works best for you. We've got some that we used to manually price, and we were completely happy with the numbers that we're doing. But since we started using Beyond Pricing, we're getting like a 15% more overall on gross annual income. So that's quite a bit. Like, we've got a little studio cabin that we never got more than 125, 130 a night for. And Beyond Pricing put it at like 250 for some event that we didn't even know was going on. It dynamically prices, for those of you who don't know, dynamically prices based on your competition in the area or any potential holidays or events coming up. We got $250 a night for a little studio cabin. That's like twice what we've ever gotten, and we never would have priced it that high had we been manually pricing. So I really recommend using a pricing manager to optimize your pricing.
Awesome. Yeah, that's like there's pricing analytics tools like that one. There's a few more. In our experience, what we've done is gather comparable properties and analyze the entire market with Airbnb and check what's the average daily rate around the market for similar properties. And we also, emphasize obviously on the holidays and special events happening in Miami. Obviously, there's not a lot of that right now. So we just manage a lot of it right now based on demand and based on the future bookings that we have. Yeah. I think we have another question from the audience here. Does anybody have experience doing short-term rentals on an RV or travel trailer? If so, how is it? Will you recommend it? I have no experience, so I'm with that, so I am not very sure. With that.
And RVs, no.
And Avery said that she doesn't, right? You don't.
I don't know. I actually did just buy an RV, so if anybody knows, let me know. I bought it to be able to bounce around through to all my markets, and it was in case anybody else wants to buy one. My CPA was able to put it as like an 80% write-off as a mobile office, so that's pretty sweet.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, great. Do we have any more questions here in the audience?
Yeah.
The live audience?
Avery, I had a question. Your current strategy now for a apartment building, how are you getting funding for that?
So we are going to just independently finance it ourselves. We're not going for like a 50 unit or anything. I mean, we're talking like an 8 to maybe a 30 unit, probably in the Panhandle or South Alabama. So we're just kind of waiting for the right one. And we're also going to wait until we can sell our last Nashville property and 1031 it. And that lease is up in July, and we'll have about 150 extra in equity to add to our payment, to our down payment on an apartment building. So just keeping an eye out until then. So if anybody hears of any, hit me up.
Awesome. And is that located near the beach or any perks, any amenities like that for the property?
No, as long as it cash flows, it'll be a long-term rental. So, okay. The criteria will be different than what they are for my short terms.
I hear you. Yeah. If that's a long-term rental, that's the case. You specific. Okay, we have one here from Zoom from Francine. Do you use a specific platform so all the bookings are in one place? Yeah, we personally use 365 Villas, and it's been pretty effective. It syncs all the calendars from all the major portals, Booking.com, Airbnb, of course the RBO, and HomeAway, and then there's also some other smaller booking portals that it syncs with, and it helps us get on many more portals as well that we didn't even know about. Do you use a central channel manager?
We do. We use Your Porter.
Your Porter. Oh, cool. I haven't heard of that one.
Yeah, we used to use IGMS, but somebody recommended Your Porter, and we tried it, and it just it plays nicer with all the other apps that we're synced to. So it's been pretty good. It's pretty cost effective too. You should check it out.
Nice. What's the cost on that one?
I don't exactly know off the top of my head. I just remember back when we were looking, being like, oh, this is a lot cheaper than IGMS. Great.
Yeah. Hey, Avery, it's $7 per listing.
Thanks, Joel. Told you it was cheap.
Yeah, I use one. I use a channel manager called Octarate. It's actually an Australian-based one. It's $34 a month. They have integrations with about over 300 different listing platforms, including Airbnb Booking, Agoda, Flipkey, all of those. So it works pretty well and has a lot of integrations. I like it a lot. I learned about it last year, and it's been kind of carrying me in terms of preventing double bookings and whatnot. So
and more exposure.
Yeah, and more exposure too, right? And they have a bunch of integrations where you can get your own full website out of it. You can also sync your calendars up, and there's a lot of different interactions that you can do.
Nice, yeah, nice.
Yeah, so there's many out there to use. Yeah.
Use benefits, let's see, in one place. There are more benefits advertised. That's a good question for you. So we have another question here, and I think it's a great question for Dion from the Zoom audience. And thank you guys for engaging with us so well. It's great to have audiences on 2 different sites. So the question is, anyone getting direct bookings? If so, are you advertising, and where? Facebook and such? I'll go first because mine's is short. We do get direct bookings from some repeat guests, which is neat. And 365 Villas has a feature where we can take payment, and we can also do a credit card hold. It's for a max of 7 days, but it's very helpful. And some referrals sometimes, especially from my friends in real estate, in the brokerage and realtors, they have their clients and they want to stay here either for the winter. And
with that, is it worth the risk though, in regards to not having liability insurance on the platform?
Yeah.
So in that case,
that's what we do, a security deposit always.
Okay.
Depending on the property, you raise it or lower it, depending on how expensive the property is. And there are some, more often than not, either they're repeat guests or they're referred by somebody that we know in common. Right. So, I would expect I would expect them to behave well.
Yeah, there's a trust factor already in place. It's somebody referred.
There you go. And Dion's experience is a little different. By the way, Dion, he's developing. He's running 420 BNB, which is an alternative booking service, and we're gonna see a little bit more detail once we're done. But yeah, how do you get direct bookings?
So one of the things that I got into in 2016 is, since I ran private room rentals, I had the problem of trying to get guests to stay with each other, because since I had 2 different rooms, I had 2 different Airbnb guests that didn't know each other, right?
Yeah.
So what I did is I wanted to create a YouTube video through Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Snapchat, and I pretty much recorded all of my guest experiences and uploaded them to YouTube, so that when people came to my Airbnb listing, in my description, I actually put in the description that they could check my guest experience videos. So one of the things that I wanted to do was show that you can have a cool, fun experience while also staying with another stranger, including me, because even though I'm on the Airbnb platform, they don't know me. Yeah. So by watching the video before they were able to book, I was able to get a lot of direct bookings from just YouTube, Instagram, Snapchat, and all of the social media platforms, because people would hit me up after they saw my videos. So even through Airbnb, it was good, but once I started to develop content, I actually got bookings from YouTube as well. And then I got bookings from Snapchat, and then I got bookings from Facebook, and then also Instagram. And I want to say that over the last 4 years, probably a good 30% of my bookings have just come from direct bookings. Now, from what my man said here, with the liability, I live with my guests. So it was a little bit easier for me to manage the trouble, because I didn't have to deal with too much, because I was the liaison between the 2 guests that were staying there.
Yeah.
So I was able to avoid a lot of problems, and then I had a lot of things for guests to do. I had Bluetooth speakers. I also had video games. I had, I took my guests out to South Beach, to a lot of different places, and it was like your own personal tour guide experience is what I was able to provide. And that alleviated most of the problems for me. Terms to my 420 friendly thing. So in 2016, when I put 420 friendly on my listing, for almost 2 years straight, I never missed a booking.
Okay.
And that's been my experience with that, because every time I would have a guest come right off the plane, the first thing that they would ask me is it okay if I can consume here? And ever since then, it's just been rocking. And now we're here 4 years later, trying to expand on that and open a new level of hospitality to South Florida, which doesn't exist yet. I know if anybody's familiar with Colorado, they have bed and breakfast up there.
Oh, nice.
And
Colorado native, right here.
How interesting.
Yeah. For real? Yeah. So you know it's about it. Yeah. So we wanna bring the same level of service that Colorado has, but to South Florida, and then eventually all over the United States.
Interesting.
So
very cool.
It's been an interesting.
How do you process payments when you have a direct booking?
What do you say?
How do you process payments?
So Cash App. Cash App is king for people below 35. That's
pretty much your niche and your audience too.
Yeah, probably 90% of the payments that I collect are through Cash App. If it's not through Airbnb. I do have rentals insurance. So if things do get lost or things, I have a way to replace them. So yeah, I don't necessarily worry about the liability too much, because I'm there with my guests too. And security deposits are something that I take too. I just charge $100 though.
Interesting.
And then give it back to them if they don't mess up.
Of course.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Gene posted a really interesting question there, and I'm actually very excited about it. I read a really interesting article. I'm happy to share with you guys. It's called Airbnb, like Airbnb Baller or something like that, and it's all about the IPO, and it gives you all the details and compares Airbnb to other companies. And in essence, what the article says is that Airbnb right now, they laid off so much of their staff, so they're trimmed, they're slim, and so they're ready for launching, to take off once COVID subsides. So they're in great shape, and then they're gonna have an injection of about $3 billion. So I don't know if you guys saw it in November 16, before yesterday, we received an email for all us hosts for the direct share program. And that's super interesting, because it will get the shares at the exact price that they come out to the market, which is a real high upside. We'll get it before the public. How do you guys feel? How do you feel about this, Avery?
I'm not a gigantic stock person, so I'm probably going to skip it and let you guys do that. But I am going to watch it pretty closely, though, because it is interesting to see what's going to happen with it.
Yeah, well, Airbnb's changed my life, so I definitely will be investing. Definitely, you know, I might throw everything in there. Hopefully, just because I'm, you know, Airbnb brought a level of hospitality that I never thought could exist, especially when it comes to renting through your own home. And I found that that's been the greatest change in the last 4 years of my life. So just because it affects me that deeply, I'm going to be heavily investing, and so is most of my team as well. So we're going to be definitely a part of that Airbnb opening whenever it does, which I'm thinking is the first week of December, I think they said.
I think sometime in December.
Yeah, sometime in December. So definitely looking forward to that. Hopefully I become a millionaire overnight. We'll see.
I have a question.
Yes, please.
Since a lot of us have been using Airbnb.
Come into the camera.
Oh, yes, please.
Man, everybody see you.
I was wondering, when they offered the fund for the people that got hurt badly early on, how many people here got any money back from Airbnb?
I did, but it was like,
No.
not even.
Not
It
even.
was not even worth even discussing. It was that
I know,
minimal.
'cause
That insults
I
me.
met somebody that lost $40,000
Wow.
In
in
bookings.
this period of time, and they got a check back from Airbnb for $60.
Yeah,
Whoa.
I got like 300 or something, which to me still was like nothing.
Were they superheroes?
Huh?
Were they superheroes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they wouldn't talk to me when I tried to communicate
Right.
with Airbnb. I couldn't even get through during that time. They
Didn't
didn't
they-
acknowledge.
Did they create a fund for $250 million?
Yes.
Isn't that what they said? It
I was wondering how many people got money back, because we all got hurt. You know, March, April, May,
Right.
you know, a lot, so.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, when you're running a company that massive with 7 million listings, then, you know, I have no idea.
Compared to your bookings, how much did you get back?
So from the bookings that I lost, it was about 11,000. That's how much I lost in about a 3-month period. Luckily, the PPP loan covered most of that. But when Airbnb set up that host fund, that $250 million, I think I got like maybe $30 back.
I got it, yeah, and then I got lucky because I got like $300 back,
300? How much
Yeah.
money did you lose though?
13,000. Yeah,
We all got.
yeah, we got hit, yeah. But
Okay.
the reason why I said I lost 13,000 because I lost those, but like, again, it was really early, was God sent for me because they immediately came back, like,
New bookings.
new bookings were just back to back. There's this guy who was running away from New York, wound up staying at 1 month at the apartment. So I was like, okay, I'm not hurting, that bad. Wasn't making the money that I'm making now, but it wasn't bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about international travelers? You got hurt a lot?
I got stuck with some international travelers too because they weren't allowed to travel.
You
So
had
yeah.
that come back, you guys?
Yes, I have now a lot of international
We
travelers.
lost all of them. They're coming back. I don't know if they're still allowed back in the country, I guess they are.
Right. Well, for the house, I haven't yet, but I have a small unit, like a 1-bedroom thing.
No.
And I guess because that was a little bit cheaper, that I've been booked in that one. Again, because of, COVID has hurt some pockets, so yeah.
Don't look up to that.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks a lot. Okay, you're very welcome. And we're gonna take one last question, unless you guys have any more questions here. Let's see. Okay, so from Francine, what insurance do you use to protect your home, commercial versus home insurance use? There's actually some majority of home insurance companies, they're offering a short-term rental program now. So I would just inquire with your home insurance and tell them what you plan to do. They might spike the premium, but it's priceless, right? Peace of mind is more often than not priceless. So that's definitely what I would do. There's one that I want to say is Priority. They were emailing me. So they'll come up in Google if you search on Priority Insurance, and they have their own tailored short-term rental program. I don't know if you guys have any recommendations on as far as that, or if you use commercial insurance.
I use regular rentals insurance.
Okay.
Just because when I do bring people through Instagram and YouTube,
Yeah.
I wanted to have protection through them. But through the regular Airbnb system, I just use them.
Right.
I really haven't had any issues with people. So I've really never had to use the claim system or any insurance, and I've never had issues to use. So yeah, I have a pretty efficient system when it comes to
Awesome.
claims.
To insurance and yeah. You tend not to use them, but you want them to be there in case you do need.
No, for sure. Yeah. I think if you're not there on the property, it's definitely more useful. But for me, I'm able to deter a lot of the stuff that could happen since I'm there.
Right.
I'm specifically there. Yeah.
Cool. Okay.
I don't know if this is a loaded question, but I'm getting started in Airbnb. I just purchased property and I'm in the process of getting into this world, which I've had great advice and help from many friends that do it. But when it comes to licensing and like the regulating entities, like the city, like is there like a couple sentences crash course that I can get a better idea? Like if you live in the property, you need a state license, county license, city license. You don't. What's the
It's not as
overall?
difficult as you think it is.
Yeah.
And he can tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I ask him everything. And then I revert back to it.
But then when you don't live in the property, obviously the idea is to, eventually get started with a fresh one and then grow it to a bunch of properties. But then I don't live in a bunch of properties, so then how does it work?
So it's real easy.
Is there a city
It may
that is
be
like
different in the Smokies, but in the state of Florida, it's. I actually have a presentation on this, but I'll make it real simple. It's 4 layers, and it starts with the state, and then it goes with the
City.
city. So county or state. Sorry, state, county or city. So if the city is unincorporated, then that means that it's the county. It falls on the county. If it's incorporated, that means that a city applies. So you would follow the rules of the county if it's unincorporated, and if it's incorporated, you look for the rules of the city, and they'll give you like the entire process. But it's pretty much that's the basis, that's the order of it, because all cities, all counties change their requirements. Some are more simple, some are more tedious, and just very, some don't even allow it, right? But the state is important because all of the cities are going to require the state licensing. And then lastly would be an association, if you have an association. But before you even start, I would check with the association, because if they let it, it's not worth the headache. It's just not. So that's real sweet, sweet and simple. Okay, so I think we're all set. Great, valuable content today. Thank you so much, Avery, for spending your Wednesday evening with us. Want to give you a last clap, please. Round of applause for Avery.
Thank you guys for having me.
That's the beauty of it. I mean, this is the positive side of what we're going through. We're able to have speakers from like way somewhere else that we wouldn't usually have, because we usually have the speakers in person. So, that's the bright side. Thanks again, Avery. And if everyone wants to stick around, we're gonna go ahead and play a video from our sponsor today, which is Dion 420 BNB. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to share screen and play it here. I got it.
You got it? Oh, hey.
So, let's go.
So I can explain.
Wait, you want to explain it before? Okay. All right. I'm going to share the screen. Just bear with me.
Ty, come here, bro. Come here.
I mean, I'm great, but it's cut up, all right?
Yeah, it is. But still, you're the man of the hour in the video. So.
You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. Just press play when you want to play the video.
Okay. People can still hear me though? They can still hear me?
They can hear you.
All right, so Mr. Ty here was our test host for one of our properties here on 420 B&B. I guess before I get
Sorry, just make sure they can hear you.
Yeah, you already presented yourself.
Wait, make sure they can hear you. Make sure.
okay, can people hear me? They can.
Just ask them. Hey
Hello?
guys, can you hear us?
I can hear you.
Excellent. Wait, put the video again, please. Oh, wait. There you go.
Well, those are YouTube video, man.
What was you saying?
Just your YouTube video.
Me, I do it, you know, mostly.
Okay, so go ahead.
Okay, so from the start.
Yes.
So my name is Deontay Mack. I am the CEO of 420 B&B, which is a lodging hospitality application platform. We are a South Florida-based company where we specialize in serving the underserved community of people who are looking for 420 friendly rentals, right? One of the things that we identified through Airbnb is that everybody has no smoking on their filters as the Airbnb property, right? More so for the tobacco reasons, because nobody wants tobacco being smoked in their home. So what we wanted to do is identify the users through Airbnb who were 420 friendly, but also didn't mind designating certain areas for people to consume their preference, right? So currently on Airbnb, if you go in there now and you select smoking allowed, you have almost an 80% drop off in properties just because of that tobacco reason. So we wanted to bring a culture in where we could identify people who are 420 friendly and then also give them a nice place to stay, which is what this video is here. This is one of our properties right in the design district. We're partnered with a hotel building, where he has 15 hotel rooms in this building. And they're all on 420 B&B currently right now. We also have something in Little Havana, another 10 units. And this is our first major partner in this area. So Mr. Ty here was our host / booking with his girl too. You wanna come over here and show? Sure. So I can introduce y'all, man. This is Ty.
What's up, fam? I hope y'all can hear me. My name is Ty. Wealthy Vibes Ty, at Wealthy Vibes Ty, #, Wealthy Vibes Only. And I made this cool video because I met this guy at an event with my guy here. I forgot your name. Sebastian, come over here real quick. I appreciate you hosting this whole thing. Yeah. Shout out to my guy here. And then Kiana made this video with me that you're about to watch right now. And it was really, honestly, it was very Wealthy Vibes Only. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
And then you'll see how to book, how the experience is at the end of the day. And it's a very surprise at the end of the video. So let me take a deep breath. And I love y'all. Thanks for watching. Thanks for coming and watching my video. Yeah, peace out.
So we're gonna go through what the process is like to book with our MVP prototype right now. We actually have a mobile app in the process of being developed. So we're trying to take this whole cannabis tourism thing to the next level, because with the policy reform that the United States is having, I think cannabis tourism is going to be a very huge market in the near future. And this is just what we wanted to show everybody as an experience for booking through 420 B&B. One of the things that I do want to highlight is something that we wanted to do differently than Airbnb was to give guests the ability to look at a video before they book someone's property. That way, people who are content creators out there or who do have video making experience, you can make a list of your rules, and then you would alleviate some of the problems that you may have in the Airbnb system. Because I know one of the most common things that I have through Airbnb was a lot of guests wouldn't understand what I was offering until they got to the door and I explained it to them. So since most people don't read, I thought a video since most people are auditory and visual learners, I thought a video would be a great way to kind of bridge the misunderstanding when it comes to booking through an Airbnb. So this is the video here.
Dude, literally, we're like right here already.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's check it out.
Here, they have everything right here.
I'm starting.
So 2 votes, let's go. Dude, literally, we're like right here already.
Oh, wow. Okay. Let's check it out.
Here, they have everything right here already.
Oh, that's nice.
Sheesh.
Can we smoke in this place?
I don't think so.
What does the rule say? 420 outside.
Oh shoot, we got a video.
There goes the video.
Smells so good in here. Wow, nice bed.
Going through my manner, take a toke, hold it till you choke, moving forward, cruising on my border, still got more, burn it to a short and I'll be
So, okay.
Hello, I'm 420 Baby Enforcer, just checking to make sure everything's good with y'all, you know, y'all follow the rules.
Oh yeah, I remember. They told me about you.
Yes, sir, check that out. I just need to check to make sure everything's good. Everything smells good. Y'all aren't having a party in here or smoking labels.
I mean, do you smell it?
No.
Yeah, it ain't nothing going on.
Alright, okay, just want to make sure and I'm feeling what your experience here.
Appreciate you, bro.
Okay.
See you soon.
You have a good day.
Can't break no rules here, boy. They send forces to the door. Where we see that at?
We get drunk, so when we smoke weed, we're just having fun. We don't care who sees. So when we go out, that's how it's supposed to be. Living young and wild and free.
Yeah, I like that. So, that is one of our properties at I think it's okay. Hold on. Stop sharing, right? Okay. So that's one of our properties in the design district. Like I said, we have 15 units there. So one of the things that we want to do is start capitalizing on bringing the 420 hospitality amenity to South Florida. I'm going to turn it over to my chief marketing officer, Alexander Robinson, where he's going to go a little bit more into detail about the marketing aspect and just overall as a company, what we do. Alex.
Yes. Thank you, Dion. just to go a little deeper into what Dion was saying about the 420 friendly properties that we do have, 420 doesn't necessarily mean that people will smoke in your property or that they will smoke in general. There's several different ways to use cannabis. There's oils, people infuse it into food. There's gummies, there's edibles, and then of course the way we're all used to seeing people use cannabis is smoking it. And so on our website, we really dove in. We did tons of surveys to find out how people would use it. We talked to hosts and found out what was acceptable in their properties. And on our website, you're able to actually go through and select what you want to have in what you want the consumer, the guest, to actually do inside your home. And so you can select, hey, I only want people to smoke outside, or I want people only to use edibles. I want no combustion inside my home. And that's all things that people can, we have enforcers to come in, as you saw in the video, where they'll come in and they'll make sure that they're following the rules that you set for your property. You also saw below our logo, it says 420 B&B, a joint community. To expand on that a little more, joint community is to bring medical and recreational cannabis users together with non-users to perform a safe place where they can actually use cannabis products. We're based in South Florida. Right now, we're expanding across the entire US. Currently, we have properties in Oklahoma. We also have properties in New York, and we're looking at acquiring properties in California, Colorado, and Atlanta before the end of the year.
Yep. We got one in New York already.
Yes, our first booking was actually from New York. So that was pretty exciting. Pretty soon in the future, we're going to have other social things that people can do along with the 420 B&B website. So look forward to that, and we look forward to seeing you host on our site. We also have a link that we're going to post before everybody gets off the chat for you to go ahead and join a giveaway that we're doing. We're giving away a smart lock for your home. If anybody has any questions, we'll be more than happy to take those at this time.
We can say the next thing also.
What are the rules or the guidelines when you're staying at a 420 property? What's the difference between a regular Airbnb property and a 420?
So the only thing that we're really doing with 420 friendly properties is we're having an open platform for people to go ahead and discuss, using 420 friendly properties, 420 friendly items, cannabis items. So let's say your property, you don't want people to smoke inside of your place. You can go through when you set your place up and you can say no smoking's allowed, but you can use edibles in my property. And that's why we have the enforcer program in place to make sure that it doesn't happen in your property. And then you also have that video that you upload so that there's no gray area.
So what kind of guarantee do you provide? Like, for instance, I'm very skeptical about getting people, I don't want people smoking inside the house.
Yes.
You have a whole backyard that you saw, you have all that, but when you're happy, you're not following the rules. So how do you provide that guarantee they're not gonna come in here and smoke inside the house?
So, with my property in Miami, one of the things that I was able to do was calling the guests and explaining to them what the rules are actually was a little bit more effective than just letting people check in and do what they want to do.
Right.
So one of the things that we wanted to do was that video is we want people to create their own content videos where it details the house rules that you have.
Right.
That way, before they book, they already know what to expect before they even come to your property. And then on top of that, we wanted people to create social medias so that they could understand what their previous guest experiences was from there. People can go to an Instagram or to a Facebook and then also see other past guest experiences where nobody's smoking on the inside and everybody's outside enjoying themselves outside, then that's kind of going to give them an understanding of what that property allows.
Because in my case, for instance, I know there's some people here, when you tell them no smoking and no smoke.
Right.
So how do you stop those guys from breaking the rules? I mean.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that we are putting in place. So, for example, we're gonna have like you saw with our logo, a joint community. And so we're gonna have a peer-to-peer review system where you'll have people that, you know, if somebody does break the rule, we're gonna ban them if they continue to break the rules from the site. We're promoting responsible cannabis culture.
Okay.
And so with that put in place and people knowing the atmosphere that's already in place and the stigmas that people have, and you can't go to a hotel and check in without smoke there without somebody taking down a smoke detector or putting a towel at the door. And that puts everybody at risk. And so to be able to be in a place where, you know, you're not going to lose your booking, but the only thing you have to do is follow rules, that's what we're really promoting towards people. And as you see with Neon's B&B, we get people from all walks of life. You get executives flying in and they don't want to stay at the hotel, and so we have to create an invoice because their company's paying for it, but we can't put 420 B&B on the invoice.
Right.
And so we have those things in place where we have the invoices that we can send out, and we made numerous connections with people to help us get to the point where we are today. Just because we have executives that fly in and they'll stay at these properties and they go, hey, you know, I picked this place because I know I can actually use my, you know, I can cook with CBD. Whereas if I try to do that in a kitchenette at a hotel and they smell it, I'm being kicked out.
Right.
Yeah.
One of the things that I actually really enjoyed was the different backgrounds that I got through my Airbnb of people who just wanted a space that was 420 friendly. That's literally been the only amenity that some people would pick. It was like, oh, just because it was 420 friendly, that's what they picked. So I think with us having that specific aim, that people are not necessarily going to want to break the rules because you may get kicked out or charged money in an Airbnb where you don't even have the communication standards with the host about that. So with our system, being able to open the communication door with guests, because that's mainly what they're looking for, I think that it'll be an easier time of getting people to actually follow the rules when it comes to our system. And it's new and it's cool, man. It's 30, man, come on, man. It's a cool new platform, it's a new idea, and you know, I think that people are going to embrace it more than want to come and just break the rules all the time. Just because of the level of amenities and just the hosting experiences and unique experiences that hosts all over the world will be able to open up to other guests. You know, with there being, like for example, in the senior community, 55 plus, you know, a lot of anxiety and insomnia and a lot of these other mental wellness ailments that guests want to be a part of. I think that they're going to come and have those types of experiences there.
Yeah, for example, our customer base right now in Oklahoma is veterans. We have veterans that are constantly, you know, checking in and booking to us, and we haven't even been able to get the properties up on site yet, and we're getting flooded with bookings from people that are going, hey, you know, this is available. Sign me up. I want to come here so that I can go ahead and start using this. And there's more of a demand than we can meet right now. And so, you know, with everybody being here, being a host, it's definitely a way for you to fill your calendars and not have a T-Day, especially now. And you know that you're getting responsible people because of the joint community help holding everybody responsible.
So you have a demand for, you mean customers more than hosts, or the other way around?
Customers can't find a place to stay. We're constantly booked. And so we need hosts. That's why we're here today. That's why we help sponsor this event so that we can get more hosts to sign up. And so that we can meet that demand, because right now every time we get a new property up, we're getting them booked up before they can get bookings from Airbnb.
Right.
Yeah.
Being booked weeks in advance can be quite a challenge.
Right.
Yes.
So one thing I did want to do is my UX designer is here, Miss Megan Schuler, and she's going to go into what it is that our the problem of our system. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Megan Schuler.
So